All right, so while an atom may have many electrons, not all of them are going to interact when we're talking about bonding and chemical reactivity. It's really only the outermost electrons that interact, right? So only valence electrons, abbreviated VE capital, are reactive. And the valence electrons are the outermost electrons. Right, and the periodic table is organized very nicely for us by column, right? So in the first group or the first column, everything here has one valence electron. In the next one over, we have two valence electrons. We then ignore the transition metals as well as the lanthanides and actinides. And then in our kind of group 3A, we have three valence electrons, then four valence electrons, five valence electrons, six valence electrons, seven valence electrons, and then finally our noble gases, we have eight valence electrons, right? And so all we really care about is the valence electrons. They're going to be the ones that are reactive. And so since things are in the same group, they're very similar, right? So for example, oxygen and sulfur are in the same group, and so they're very similar to one another because they both have six valence electrons. And so we can draw Lewis dot structures for all of these. Right here, we only show the valence electrons. So for example, when we have one valence electrons, that's hydrogen, we just draw one dot next to it to represent our valence electron. And then everything in the same group is going to be the same, right? Lithium, sodium, potassium, they all only have one valence electron. If we take a look at things that have three valence electrons, such as boron and aluminum, we put three dots around it, right? The three dots, one on each side, don't group them together until you have to, right? So there's three valence electrons, four valence electrons, right? Carbon, that's going to be the star of our show, one dot on each side, but silicon is also very kind of similar, and so on and so forth, right? When we then get to more than four valence electrons, we start grouping them together. So nitrogen has five valence electrons, so we group two of them together, and then phosphorus is the same thing. And then finally, we get a filled valence shell when we have eight valence electrons. That's like our noble gases, something like neon, right? We've got two electrons on each side, or argon with its eight valence electrons.